All right, next what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the guitar solo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you watch this, check out the solo a little bit. You've got the tab for it, and then we're going to break it down a little bit. Now, this solo is really comprised of 3 different kinds of David Gilmour-ish minor solos, kind of pulling the best out of each one, and then we're going to talk about it, break it down, and teach it to you. So get ready and watch this. All right, so let's break down this solo a little bit. There's a ton of great, subtle things that happen in a David Gilmour style solo. The first thing we've got is we've got this slide moving into the 9th fret of the 4th string. Sliding is essential to David Gilmour's style. Just nice, smooth sliding elements. Now again, I'm not sliding from somewhere. I call this an airplane slide, where I'm just kind of sliding in from nowhere. But I want to be accurate. I want to hit that 9. The next thing is targeting that bend. Boom. You bend it up. And he's dead on every time, this guy. He just makes me want to turn my guitar into a coffee table, but that's what it is. So he is just dead on. When he does those, he just fires them up there, and boom, they're in tune every single time. Then we're going to add a vibrato, a nice smooth vibrato. And again, David Gilmour's got a vibrato to just die for. So we come off of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go. So we're bending it up, bringing it back down, doing a pull off to 7. Then he's going back to the 9, adding, again, another wonderful vibrato. Don't have a lot of time, though. And then you go into your... And what we're going to do there is we're going to play 7 on the 3rd string, 9 on the 4th string, back to the 7 on the 3rd string, and then he gives it just a little blues bend. So a blues bend is when you just twist that string just a little bit at the very end, like that. Now, I do have my solo tone on, so you've got some delay in there and some reverb you can hear. Trying to kind of emulate a bit of a David Gilmour sound. He's got a pretty wet tone, so he does have vibrato. He's got delay and reverb and all that kind of stuff on his tone quite frequently. So think about that a little bit with whatever you've got with your amp at home. So we've got... Then we go... Okay. And then we can do a little slide up. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move up. And this is a big one too, okay? So we're going up to the 11th fret of the 3rd string, going to the 10th fret of the 2nd string with my 1st and 2nd fingers. And again, I'm sliding in. Then I'm going to the 12th fret of the 2nd string. I'm going to bend that sucker up a step and a half, which means that my 12 is actually going to sound like a 15. So, and again, he just fires those and hits them every time. Okay, and then you've got 10, 12, 10. Okay, which is like that same thing. So he's just doing the same thing an octave higher. Okay, so we've got, and then we move into, add a little blues bend, sounds nice. Okay, then we move down to go, again, really making the guitar talk, using some staccato in there. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the 7, the 9, and then I'm bending the 9 up. Then bringing it back down, doing that pull off again. And then I'm going to the 9th fret of the 4th string, which is my B. That's my root. We do a little slide off, which happens a lot too at the end of a phrase. He'll slide back off. Okay, so let's do this together, okay? From the beginning. We got our lick number 1. Add a vibrato. Lick number 2. And then our little tag. Okay, and you can either do a little blues bend and stop, like that, or you could do a little blues bend and maybe do a slide. Or you could just do the slide. Whatever you like, whatever feels the best to you. The trick with a lot of the David Gilmour stuff is that it is staccato. Sometimes he'll use these big legato lines, and all of a sudden he'll have something that's very short, and it might just stop like that, which is cool too. Then you've got, okay, that's the 11-10, so we're going 11-10, 11-10. Now here comes our step and a half bend. And then add a little blues bend at the end of that. And then we've got our little tag here, the staccato lick. Okay, now we're going to do this. We're going to take this. Okay, this is another thing that David Gilmour does a lot, and it just sounds so awesome. It reminds me of people like Eric Johnson and Richie Kotzen and all kinds of different players like that. But he does this nice melodic kind of movement. And what we're doing is we're playing pentatonic primarily, but here all of a sudden we're adding in a note called the 9th, or the 2nd sometimes it's called. So what we're going to do is we're going to play 10th fret of the 1st string with our middle finger. We're going to do a pull off to 9, then 10, and then 9. Now again, the picking could be just about anything because it's not very fast. I tend to do it as a down and then an up and then a down. But I think anything you want to do is just fine. Then we're going to slide back to the 9th fret. Then we're going to go to the 7th fret, excuse me. Then we're going to go to the 9th fret of the 4th string with our ring finger. And then we're going to do 2 slides. We're going to go from 7 to 6 to 4. So we're reiterating the B, or the root, on 2 different strings. So we're going, there's our B, and then we're sliding back down to the B again. Which sounds pretty cool, okay? So, that's our next little lick. Now we have a little talking lick again. It's just so cool. Little blues bend in there. So now what I'm doing is I'm sliding into the 9th fret of the 5th string, playing the 7 twice, pretty staccato, then back to the 9. Then I'm going to go to the 7th fret of the 3rd string and give it a little blues bend. Again, at the very end, when you're ready to leave, that's when you want to give it a little bit of a bend. That's what causes the blues bend. If you do the blues bend too early, it just sounds like you're out of tune. You don't want to do that. You want to wait till you're just about ready to leave. and then boom, you throw that little bend in there, and then you go wherever you're going, which in this case is the 9th fret of the 4th string, or the B again. Okay, now when we get to that 9, we're not going to settle in. We're going to play 9, 7, 9. So I'm using down, up, down to make that fast enough. And again, a vibrato, whatever kind of vibrato you've got. Okay? Now, another thing that David Gilmour does a lot is coming up in the next lick. It's called a rake. And what I'm doing is I'm using basically a B minor chord shape, but I'm pushing through with my pick, and as I do, I lift the fingers, kind of like what we did in the arpeggio. It's kind of like that when we were doing that. So I'm going to play 9, 7, 7, 7, but instead of just leaving them all down and getting that, I'm going to try and kind of release each one as I go by it. So I play the 9. When I hit the 7, the 9 is now gone. And then as I keep going, I'm just moving the pressure of my first finger. I'm rotating that pressure as best I can, so I'm not getting them all to ring out. Again, it's just an effect. So if you do have a couple that are overlapping each other or whatever, don't worry about it. It's about the sound and the application more than its accuracy. So when he goes, you hear people like Stevie Ray Vaughan does many things like this a lot too. But it's that kind of rake that you're pushing through. Then what we're going to do is we're going to play the 9th fret of the 1st string and the 10th fret of the 1st string as well. So there's that 9th or 2nd, we call it, in a diatonic scale. So he's using pentatonic, but he's adding in that it's called a 9th or a 2nd. And again, if you don't know your theory, don't sweat it. Just play this. But if you're wondering what is a 9th, that would be a good topic of discussion for us to have in either another course, or maybe you jump on the Guitar Zoom community page and we talk about it a little bit, whatever you want to do. But that's what that note is. So the rake is really setting you up for the 7th fret of the 1st string. That's what you want to get to. So you've got that melody, but the rake is just there as an effect to get you there. If you need to use a little palm muting to create a more effective rake, that's okay too. Then we're going to do this lick, which again is just a traditional kind of pentatonic lick, but David Gilmour uses them quite frequently. So we're going... So we're playing 10 to 7 as a pull-off. Then we're playing 10 on the 2nd string, back to 7 on the 1st string. So in this case, I'm doing down and then 2 downs. And then I'm going back to that 10th fret. I'm going to bend it up. Now for me personally, I do that 10 on the 2nd string that I'm bending. I do that with an upstroke. Okay, so I'm playing pinky to 1st, then I'm using 3rd finger on the 2nd string so I can prepare for the bend. And again, these are just personal things that I do. If you decide it's easier to do it a different way, don't worry about it. It's fine. I just want to explain to you what I'm doing so you go, what is he doing there? And then you know what I'm doing. Okay, so it's still got that fire thing where you just hammer out that bend and then you add a vibrato, which is a really confident thing that David Gilmour does in his playing all the time. And I wish I could do it just as well as he can, but I'm fairly convinced I cannot. But just fire that sucker up there and then give it a vibrato. Okay? Then he's going to do this really cool triplet style lick, which goes... Okay? Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is just this long lick. It's a repetitive pattern, if you want to call it that. I'm playing 9 on the 3rd string. I'm bending it up a whole step, and then I'm playing 2 7s on the 2nd and 1st strings. So a kind of a Chuck Berry style lick to begin with. Then we're going to play 10, 7, 9, starting on the 2nd string. So that 10 and 7 is a pull-off for me. So I'm playing down, 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 and then up, and then a down at the end. So again, as you learn these patternized ideas, you may wind up changing the picking a little bit, but develop each piece individually. Instead of trying to take on the whole entire pattern, just learn and then attach it to, so it makes sense and it feels comfortable within your hands. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and I'm going to play 7 on the second string and then 9 and 7 on the third string. So basically what's happening is I'm making just patterns of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.